paint. It's crazy how much paint, all for free. A lot of them aren't even opened yet. Like 25-gallon buckets, 20 spray paint cans, 20-gallon jugs. It's a lot. About 60, and I mean, we're talking 20 grand. Easy. Easily 20. Easily 20 grand. All right. Make sure none of this wants to drip on us. Oh, I laid that thick. It's good though. You need it thick. All right. Well, those were some good saves. I'll take that. We saved like 4 drips there, but I was in such a hurry. Sorry. All right, I gotta move this, or I'm not gonna be able to do the whole thing. I mean, I guess I could just cover it. Yeah, that's gonna be tough. Does it even come out easy or what? Oh man. Okay. I'm just gonna plastic it. Where is the tape? I don't know what I did with the tape. I had the tape right here. Oh, there it is. Much better. Lovely. Let's. You know what? That worked out perfect because it gave this time to dry. Now I can kind of work over here. I don't know why, but I didn't plan this edge out very well, so I'm glad now I have plenty of tolerance, I should say. Okay. All right. So we can still use, right? Still use the fridge. I've got the body done. Now I need to get just the door. Come on. Okay. I trust myself to not hit that now. Whoops. Red Bull slushy. All right. All right, now I can get in there with a paintbrush regardless. Let's get that trim done real quick. No fucking way. My dumb ass just spilled my damn paint tail. Yeah. What a mess. That's what happens when you give it 20 grand worth of paint. They have some fuck up. It can't all be roses. Okay. Yep. God. All right. Get one wet. Not super wet, just moist. All right. And one dry. A couple extras. Just to be happy here. Now I'm just curious. Why did that snap like that? They never break. All right. Uh, all right. I mean, I don't know how much better you could get it. I don't know how much better it could get. I don't think it could. This plastic needs to be replaced. Okay. Let's take a trip. Our favorite rocket ship. Okay. Okie dokie. Smoky. All right. That's my trim paint. I'm looking for a liner. Here's my body. This does need a stir. That brush is smoked. Holy. I like to keep colored brushes. Oh man, you guys missed it all. Anyway, what an idiot I am. I like to keep like colored brushes. So this is painted color. And this is only painted white. I got another one that's only painted white. So I like to keep the white brushes to the white brush, you know. Gotta wipe all that water out of here. All right. Make sure my brush bristles are all good. I've already stirred my cover. Let's hit it. So I always work off of the back side of the jug or bucket because the front holds all the key information, right? And I try to always leave that sticker showing. You don't want to put paint on that because that gives the exact code for the person to mix it. That tells you what color it is. The face tells you exactly what type and style it is. So I always pour off this back edge into my pail. I like a nice full bucket. I like it up high so I don't have to dip so deep, because the deeper you got to dip for that paint, the more possibility that you're going to get paint all over the brush. You know, I'm just starting to realize, is it therapy to just watch me? Because every time I start to talk and try to teach, people leave. But if I'm just quiet, it's the weirdest thing. Even if it's just like facing a window with no one there, there'll be like 6 people there. Paint lore. Well, I got my name in the industry where I'm from. They know me. They know me as a painter and a builder. All right. Here we go. Basically, I've had to get really good at it so that I could feed myself and my children. You gotta maximize leverage on what you're good at in life. Okay, I'm going to go do a system reset. Yeah, I ought to just hit the pause button. I'm sorry, the volume mute button. So like even if I'm talking, they don't hear me. They're just kind of, I don't know. Whatever. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. That's a holiday. Now I can paint that. Wherever my brush went, where did my brush go? Right here. So now I can just paint over. See, now there's no holiday at all. That's a mark from the window. It's just sun. Sun is hitting like a piece of dirt on the window, something like that. So, yup. Okay. That's my brush. Yep, that's what they call them, holidays. You got drips, you got holidays. I forget, there's more. We're gonna come back and cut this in. Just gonna run out and smoke real quick. Just a quick cigarette. Oh, my back is freaking killing me. Mark, have you subscribed to the channel? How long have you watched? Have you watched me for a while or just today? Yes, show it that it didn't belong in there. Yeah, the holiday definitely, it catches your eye, right? And anything that catches the eye, little boogers, you got dust and dirt, debris. Okay. Basically, you really just want it as clean as possible. I went through that whole kitchen and dining room twice with rags, wet rags, and cleaned everything. There was a lot of dirt, a lot of oil, grease, dust. I mean, and of course, when it's really bad, I mean, it's clean house, don't get me wrong, but like for a paint surface, it needs to be cleaner. So I sanded everything, I dusted everything, vacuumed everything, wiped everything down twice, even the window panes twice, caulked it all, spot painted in areas, and then went around, painted all the trim. Some have 2 coats, some have 3 coats, some have 4 coats. I just get it so that it looks formal. And yeah, so now I'm on the body. Now I'm going to cut in the body. Gonna get that body cut in. Yeah, I mean, I'm 300 pounds, so I gotta lose weight. The only problem is I guzzle Red Bull like it's going out of style. So if I just drank water, I'd lose a pound a day. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to give content that people can relate to. I know it's not sexy. I don't have upside down crosses. I'm not eating babies. I'm not playing like transport. I'm not doing all that, but I'm trying to be real here, you know, and give you guys some cool content to just kind of kick back and understand how, you know, things become turnkey. I don't know. Do I have a filter on or something? What is going on? It looks like I'm not in my truck, but I'm in my truck. What the hell? What did I do, guys? Oh no. I think I put an effect on. You see that? How do I get it off? What did I do? There we go. I fixed it. So yeah, I'm trying to give you guys content, something you can relate to. You know, especially if you're aspiring to go in the field, even if you're young, you know. I know when I was young, I didn't know what the hell I was gonna do. I just found something that I've always been interested in and I've always wanted to learn more about. So every day I try to learn more. I try to, you know, work hard, hone in my skills, become, you know, just try to get better every day. I'm not trying to be the best. I'm just trying to better myself. I'm trying to be the best I can be, right? So there's a lot. I got a lot of irons in the fire. I don't want to have to do this all the time for clients to live, and I am right now. So what I'm trying to do is trying to buy multi-units and have passive income and then start building my own homes. That's my, or I'll probably start with a trailer park. I'll put together a trailer park, and that will bring in quite a bit of money as long as I put more than 4 or 5 in. I'd like to get at least 5 to 10 of them all down one cul-de-sac and rent that out. I know it'll cost a lot of money to get there, but I think that would be the ticket I would need on top of a couple multi-units to end up being able to build on my own. Now, if I could just get a sponsor or something like that. I could do this all the time. End goal would be to be in my shop teaching you guys how to build carpentry and doing cool, like taking apart pallets and putting together, like, I don't know, just building cool stuff, you know. That's when I'm like retired and I have nothing to do, you know. I'll have all the tools I need, etc. Okay, just found another little spot. So these are called air bubbles. This is another thing. So basically, any little black spot like that catches your eye when you're done finishing, you got to look around and find them. Now, if there's a nail hole that you know is going to go, this nail is going to go right back on because you're going to put it back on, that's a coat rack. That's fine. I do like to put caulking in there to give resistance to the screw. I try not to go in the same exact hole every single time. You never want to put the screw in the same exact hole unless you have meat. But, you know, you don't have to fill them. Anyway, those are air bubbles. And I'm going to fix that air bubble right now before I get into this. See, and you're just putting paint down in that hole. Great, I just literally put body on the trim. What a mutt. Why? Here we go. Pull the Travis. I was like, why is my brush so dry? Because it's the body, dummy. I mean, I don't like calling myself that, but It's a joke, really. I know I'm intelligent. To come from where I came from, kind of deal, you know what I'm saying? To what I have going in the fire, what I have as, you know, as a person, as far as like morals and integrity and all that, I'm pretty proud of myself. Because I'm not kidding. We weren't poor, but we worked hard. My parents worked hard for what they got. You know, we weren't given anything. Like some kids, you know, they're even, you know, but I don't know, it kind of puts a chip on my shoulder, but at the same time, it makes me humble. You know what I mean? Because I know exactly where I could be. So I try to remember, don't, you know, do anything you can to not have to go back there. Right? You have to eat ramen and hot dogs, you know, which is actually kind of silly because you can get pretty good food, nice fresh food for cheap. You don't have to eat that, but it is a cheap way out. Matter of fact, I still like ramen and hot dogs. I don't, but it's like when you have to. When you have to go to the food pantry, you know, when you have to go to the church and ask them to pay your heat bill or your electricity, because there's no other option, that type of thing. That's where I've been, right? Because I was young and I wanted to start a family, and I, you know, in Maine, sometimes it's hard to find work, especially back when I started in the middle of the Great Recession. You know, 2010 all the way in. So it wasn't easy, you know. And then I started getting sick off the meat, and I just said, I'm done. And I got business cards made up. I saved up enough money to buy a truck, and I just started. So if you have some in your room, go and buy a tube of caulking and a caulking gun, and just go through, fill them, and then take a wet rag and wipe. You don't want to leave a bunch of caulking. You're just going to fill that hole and wipe it right out clean. And then that black spot will go away. And even if it's not the same color, at least it's not a black hole and whatever all over your, because I do the same thing. Those long runs where the board has that crack in it, all that. Yeah, just a tube of Alex all-purpose caulking does the trick. It doesn't even have to be the plus. It can just be the straight up cheapest tube of caulking you can find, and just fill it. All right, here's body. Of course, I had to get it all over the place. I'll just put that paint on my brush, and that'll dry out. All right, here we go. So it's the color of the wall. It's the exact color. What you see here is probably a little darker because it's aged, but this is the actual paint code that they had originally. So this whole job I've been starting over here on the chimney, and I work my way all the way around, and I go all the way around the hole out there to where you saw me 10 minutes ago painting that trim. It's like the furthest away. So I'm just gonna start over here. Now, with body, you kind of do want to be careful. All right, I gotta. Yeah, I gotta go flick this off outside. It's got some dirt on. I'll be right back. Okay. So with body, you're always, you know, going, I want to make sure I don't have spatter. Spatter is what flicks off your paintbrush at the end of your stroke. You got pressure on the bristles, and then when the bristles let go of the wall or the trim, wherever it is, it flicks little tiny spots of paint. So, yeah. Put this down. Whoa. I don't like it, but where did all of the drop cloths go? That's weird. Yeah. Spread this out a little bit. The more coverage, the better. Always. Always. The more coverage, the better. So we'll cover this as well. So tomorrow, we're going to start cleaning up a little bit, getting hardware put back on, whatever we can. All right, we got the dining room covered. That's good, that's good. Yeah, a lot of people get like upset when I try to teach them, just because of the culture nowadays. It seems like people take it as direction for discipline. And I think that's because, you know, getting screamed at as a kid, anytime they wanted to give you direction was kind of, didn't let, you know, people don't like getting told what to do anymore, I guess. I don't know. Social awkward, whatever. But I do like to help. And I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. I'm trying to pass on whatever I was taught, you know. Okay. Here we go. I like to start high. I even like to kind of spot paint. Just a light feather though, not big brush strokes. As a matter of fact, on the wall, you don't want any brush strokes. So you're specifically really trying to just, the tip, it's called tipping. And you just feather the tip of your brush. But this is spot painting. That way when I roll, I'm not fighting all these marks. They're covered over. And generally you want to prime or spot paint or spot prime until you can't see whatever is bothering you, whatever you're trying to cover. If you can still see it, it may still be there when you roll it. And if you're trying to get a one roll process, which I'm not, but I do want to make sure nothing flashes when I leave. Because it can not flash for a day or so, and then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 days later, start popping out. So you really want to be careful about that. I use a lot of work platforms. I like the Gorilla work platforms now, not the Werner. But, you know, a bucket is so much lighter, easier, and more manageable. You can get more stuff done. Well, I don't know about more, I don't know. It's just easier to use. So I'm going to go through and cut all this in. So that when I roll it, and I don't want any body on the ceiling. So the way I do that, I dip about a ½ inch. I bring the back side of my brush almost up there because I'm trying to get the paint where I need it, a little bit ahead of me. So now I go until I'm dry on that back side. I still have paint on this side that's facing me. I bring it up, wiggle a wiggle, find my pool, and let the brush do the work. Right on that line where the ceiling meets the wall, there's a specific 90-degree angle. And that line is what you're going to drag the tip of your brush with. Now that I've got a good line, and you never want to keep stretching, because what happens is as you push, the brush goes up and you always end up missing. So right before you feel like you have to extend fully, that's when you're done. You want to move your body before you go any further. But now that I'm cut in, I'm going to bring a bunch of paint to the first 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And I want a nice formal coat. And I'm just going to run that. I've already cut it in, so I'm not going up to the top. I'm just barely touching where I just, another thing is your vertical lines, you really want to wipe them sideways. Make them horizontal, because the eyeball picks up vertical lines very fast. But horizontal, your eyeball doesn't see it as easy. So if you want to hide your brush stroke, after you do your vertical like I'm doing here, I'm cutting it in. Now I'm going to make it formal. Leave a bunch of paint at the first 1.5 to 2 inches. Then I just feather it off until it's it doesn't have a holiday. So you want it to go from nice thick formal paint off to 0, to like a feathered off edge. And if the trick there is, if you can see a line on the end of your paint, you're not feathered off enough. If it's truly feathered, you won't be able to see a distinctive line. There was a few drywall screws that I had to sand down. Okay. So I'm about 1.5 to 2 feet away from the end where I just was. So I can still reach further to my right, but I can also reach further to my left. So now I'm going to bring that paint way up high where I want it, dry the back of that brush off. Still got a bunch of paint here. Depending on how much you have, you can put it wherever, but I don't want it overload at the beginning. So, and I'm just watching for that pool line. If it starts to pool, I'm gonna bring that pool up top where I need it. And you see where I almost flicked right there at that extension? As soon as I saw these bristles leave the wall, I stopped. Because I don't want to flick the paint elsewhere. I just want to keep it right where I need it. And let that brush do the work. Just let the tip of your brush do the work. As long as you got that dry side, it's impossible for your brush to hit the ceiling, or the paint to hit the ceiling. Because you made sure that on the cut side, it was dry. Right? So now I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to make it nice and formal. I've got paint all the way up top. Now up here between the ceiling and this, I'm just going to paint that with a brush. Now if I was using a 9-inch roller, I'd probably put roll marks there, maybe not, that's kind of small. But areas like that, you're going to just want to run with a brush. All right, I'm just gonna do the whole top and then I'll do the bottom. Because the whole up and down thing kind of messes with me. So you guys can see, here I'll back up so you can see the whole door. That's better, right? Okay, you can see where I put the ceiling paint into the body, and I put the trim paint into the body, and that right there is my feather line. And now I'm going to bring it over. I'm going to paint this whole thing above the door. Some dry side. I'm getting the back of that brush nice and dry while I put the paint where I want it. Still have paint on this side. Bringing it up. And once you get that dry side, it literally just does the work for you. And you just glide your brush. It just glides and does its own thing. Now, I'm gonna dip it. You don't want much though. 1/2 inch is max. You don't want to dip it half the brush. I'm talking 1/2 inch is about all you want to go, is because less is more in this instant. Less is way more. You can always re-dip, but you can't, remove all the paint that you put on. That's going to end up turning into a problem. So now that I'm going to cut this end, dry side it, put that paint on where I want it. Now that I've got it cut in, we're going to come in nice and formal. And remember, I got to get that white from where I hit the ceiling paint down and the trim paint down. I need to remove that white, so we're going over it nice. Really nice. Now, usually you do a 2-coat. You cut in twice. You roll out twice and you cut in twice. That's normal protocol. So don't worry if you see a little bit of white, that's fine. It's absolutely fine to see just a little bit of white. This has a little bit of shelf trim here, and I really want to get that cut in well. So I just dipped 1/8 of an inch there, not really dipping much. I'm going to dry this off. Make sure it's dry. Remember, as I do it, I'm putting it right where I want the paint. So I'm already hiding that white that was feathered in. Now I'm just going to bring it in. Let the paintbrush do the work. If you try to get all artsy with it, it'll just end up going too heavy. And then you'll have to wipe it off. And you may even have to use a trim Band-Aid brush to really get it out of there. Kind of like what I just did over there. All right. Remember, you don't got to go heavy. You're just trying to cut it in and get rid of that white. And you want to make it wide enough, this feather, this cut-in coat wide enough so that your roller doesn't, so that your roller will hit at the most formal spot of your cut-in. So we're just boom, feather it out. There it is. Whoa, went a little too dry there. So when you always want to look at your product, like look back at different angles. So what you see in front of you might be elusive and may actually be something different when you look at it from a different angle. I was always taught when you think you're done, take 6 steps back and look at it from every angle, and then it'll tell you, okay, I gotta do that, I gotta do that, right? And a lot of the times we miss what is right in front of us, like a lot of the times. Okay, I spot painted this with ceiling paint, so I'm just gonna remove that white hide and do it with body. The goal here is so that when I roll, my roller doesn't have to fight anything. It doesn't have to fight hide, right? I want that roller to just give me that formal roller texture and put the paint on the wall nice and formal. And that's what I'm thinking about the whole time I'm rolling. Making sure there's no scars, no holidays, no, dry spots, all that stuff. Okay. And it was okay that I put the ceiling paint, because that ceiling paint is actually primer. That's drywall sealer. All ceiling paint is flat white, and that's what you use to seal drywall. You could get tinted primer if you was, worried about hide. But I'll tell you, at this point in the game, after all the trim's done, the ceiling was done, the windows are all clean, painted, all that, this is where you find all of your flaws. And sometimes your flaws can really slow you down if you weren't careful when you prepped. So you've got to remember that prep is very important, because prep is 75% of the job. That's how important prep is. It should be roughly 75% of the job. The painting